If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14, on November 27, 2024. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on November 17th. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 12th, 2024. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a directed energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that when Barack Obama is sitting next to Trump at Jimmy Carter's funeral, Obama will obtain Trump's Bluetooth MAC address, which will be used to target Trump with a directed energy weapon. I am predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on December 16th. I am predicting that Israel will bomb Iran on December 17th. Israel will nuke and completely destroy Damascus, Syria on December 26th, 2024. It is predicted that after Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as his vice president. On December 17th, the Democrat Party will use their electoral votes to make Michelle Obama the president-elect. It is predicted that on either December 22nd or 25th, Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. It is predicted that on December 26th, 2024, Joe Biden will step down and Vice President Michelle Obama will become the 47th president. It is predicted that on December 26th, Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. On January 12th, 2025, Michelle Obama will step down and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. His public inauguration ceremony will be on January 20th, 2025. The San Francisco 49ers will win the Super Bowl in the 6th plus 6th plus 6th state to join the Union on February 9th, 2025, and will become the third team to win 6 Super Bowls, which hints at 3 sixes. San Francisco points to Pope Francis, the first of 2 antichrists in Bible prophecy. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. June 8th, 2025, the true Feast of Pentecost in the calendar that watches for new moons, will be the day of the resurrection rapture event. It is predicted that on June 9th, the day after the rapture, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the 5th trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens, and it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be on the Day of Atonement, October 1st, 2025. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived, and more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. All right, welcome. This, I promise you, will be an epic video. I can't say with enough emphasis how amazing this video is going to be. I already know where this video is going because I've typed it all out. And it would be incorrect to say this because all of the Jimmy Carter videos are truly amazing and all of them must be watched. But this one will summarize some of the things regarding Jimmy Carter. Let's just put it that way. So although we shouldn't put this video on top of ahead of other videos necessarily, this video will be a very profound summary regarding Jimmy Carter and his prophetic significance in God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, which is only being explained on this channel. And so it is predicted that Jimmy Carter will die on August 9th. All right, August 9th ended up being another very important step in the trail of signs that is leading to the predicted death. All right, you've probably seen this video or rather diagram in another video, and I won't explain it. I'm just going to point out August 9th in the diagram in the trail of signs because this is how it works. This is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. August 9th was known ahead of time, one reason being this 4 days connection from the Hurricane Debbie into the 3 times 9th state, Florida, which sends at the 39th president, who will die in the 4th state, Georgia, which is why the storm crossed over into the 4th state, killed 4 people in Florida, and canceled 4 times 400 flights. And it was 4 days after these signs involving 4 and etc. On August 9th, the prophetic sign was Trump's emergency landing of his airplane in Billings. He was on his way to, I believe, Bozeman, which sits on top of the lava plume of Yellowstone volcano under the ground, the underground lava plume. And Yellowstone is in the 44th state, and the caldera is situated on the 44th latitudinal line. Another more 4s. This pattern here of 4 plus 4 plus 4 days was because of Jimmy Carter's last 444 days of his presidency, which was the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis. Okay, so anyway, the other videos explain how, in turn, August 9th connects to the date. It is predicted that Jimmy Carter will die on September 21st. All right, September 21st ended up being another step in the trail of signs. It followed this sign here where Trump was in Johnstown, which hinted at Jonestown and the mass suicide murder that happened in Jonestown during the presidency of Jimmy Carter, in which involved pointy things. They drank the Kool-Aid, but that was to speed up the process after they took the pointy things. And that's why on this day we had the sign that pointed to when Jimmy Carter and Michael Jackson collaborated on the date 5/5 regarding pointy things for children, which is why one of the 5 that alleged that Michael Jackson assaulted him was in the news on this day. Jackson was a member of the Jackson 5. There is the last payment of $500,000 to one of the 5 that were alleged to have been assaulted, and that's why it revealed 5 days to the date it is predicted that Jimmy Carter will die, but that's all relevant because the pointy things will induce mass demonic possession, which is why all of these signs here also point to Michael Jackson's Thriller video, which is about people turning into zombies. There will be a zombie pandemic due to people having taken the mark of the Antichrist, the pointy thing. And so that's why this video that has a thumbnail titled Thriller and a picture of Michael Jackson dancing with zombies must be watched. It'll explain these signs here. But anyway, it is predicted that Jimmy Carter will die on September 26th. This trail of signs is all about this lead up to this date. And this particular video is truly, truly profound. And like I said, is one of the most important Carter videos, but we shouldn't say that because they're all important. It'll be about how God pointed to August 9th, a very important date, and it is relevant to Jimmy Carter. All right, September 26th also ended up being another very important step in the trail of signs leading to the predicted date that Jimmy Carter will die on November 4th. It won't be explained in this video, it's explained in other videos. This was one of the signs on this day was Hurricane Helene, which hit the state of Florida, the 27th state to join the Union, and 27 is 3 times 9, and September 26th is 39 days before the 309th day of the calendar year, on which it is predicted that the 39th president, Jimmy Carter, will die. But I'll just say one more time, I can't emphasize enough how important this particular video is. Just hang in there and watch this video. We'll be talking about August 9th, so don't be confused. Because yes, Carter is predicted to die on November 4th, and we are talking about way back on August 9th, but it's very important. All right, so November 4th ended up being another step in the trail of signs, and this was the day that was definitely in an overwhelming way being pointed to by the Lord for Jimmy Carter. And in God's signs, Jimmy Carter is king symbolism, and that's why on this day we had the death of the king of music, Quincy Jones. Now I didn't make that phrase up. It is in the culture. People call him the king of music. Furthermore, he is most known for taking or assisting Michael Jackson's career, transitioning him from a child star into an adult star and king of pop. Okay, so Quincy Jones is most known for the best-selling album of all time, for example, Thriller, which made Michael Jackson the king of pop. And anyway, this was the day of his death. There's so much to be said regarding the relevance of Quincy Jones here, but I've just said just enough to give you an understanding of how it's relevant, to prove that it's relevant. And also, his death at the age of 91 revealed adding 13 days to get the date. It is now predicted that Jimmy Carter will die on November 17th. 91 is the 13th triangular number in a triangle of numbers. The last number in the 13th row is 91. There are many other reasons for how Quincy Jones his death revealed adding 13 days, which is explained in the Quincy Jones video. I haven't titled it or given it a thumbnail yet, but there will be a Quincy Jones video. But also this same explanation is in 4 other videos, the really long videos in which the first 2 hours or so is the same introduction that needs to be watched at least once. And so anyway, November 17th also is the day that Quincy Jones will receive his first Oscar award posthumously. Okay, so that's also what was revealed through the death of Quincy Jones. Coincidentally, he was just about to receive his first Oscar award on November 17th, which is 13 days after November 4th. Coming back to this video, this is an amazing video that will talk about the connections that led to August 9th. It is truly profound, so make sure you watch this video. It's extremely important, and this is the reason why God develops these trails of signs. It is so that he can tell these stories and communicate very important information and knowledge that he wouldn't otherwise be communicating if he were to simply tap someone on the shoulder and say, tell the world that Jimmy Carter's going to die on this date. It would mean nothing. The whole point is to convey all of this information, and that's why you need to know how it is that God was pointing to this extremely important date of August 9th. It's so amazing. And the purpose of this prediction that is from God is to prove that this is God's big picture of signs, patterns, and connections that is being explained on this channel. This email was composed, as we can see, on August 5th. All right? If you are skeptical, email me and I'll forward this to you, but the date also that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time. And so let's get into this video. All right. Hurricane Debbie. Now we get into the amazing information. That's just the introduction. Hurricane Debbie is the 4th named storm of the season. It will first, and I'm writing this before Hurricane Debbie hit. It's now after that. Today is August 8th, and this was written before Hurricane Debbie hit Florida and Georgia on the 5th. All right? Okay. Hurricane Debbie is the 4th named storm of the season. It will, as in future tense, first hit the 3 times 9th state, Florida, the 27th state. 27 is 3 times 9, and this hints at the 39th president, who currently is in the 4th state, Georgia, and will die in the 4th state, and like no other president, is known for being associated with his home state, Georgia. Okay, so the 4th named storm of the season is predicted to first hit the 3 times 9th state before it then hits the 4th state. And this will point to the book of Judges, chapter 4 in the Bible, involving Deborah, as in Hurricane Debbie, and Barak. Okay, that's the story of this chapter, Deborah and Barak. As in Barack Obama, the 44th president, which is why the 4th state will be hit by the 4th named storm of the season. The 4th named storm of the season will hit the 4th state 4 days after August 1st, and the first preseason NFL game of the season. The news regarding this game was the new 40-yard line kickoff rule. So the NFL has a new rule this year. The first game for this was this game I'm referring to. And the new rule regards the 40-yard line. This pointed to the 40th vice president, who was the football president, and this game's final score had a points differential of 4 points. The score of the game was 21-17, and this also hinted at 2 + 1 = 3, and 1 + 7 = 8, and therefore hinted at the 38th president, the football president, Gerald Ford. As well, 21 is the 7th prime number, and 17 is the 7th, As well, the score again was 21-17, and 21 is the seventh semi-prime number, which is a number that is only divisible by two other prime numbers, which God uses in his signs and connections. And 17 is the seventh prime number, and therefore this score hinted at the president who beat the football president in the election and was then inaugurated in 77. Jimmy Carter beat the football president and was inaugurated in 77. That's very relevant because of what I have explained in other videos and how Jimmy Carter, who was inaugurated in 77, began a parallel with a prophecy in the Bible regarding 7 kings. Okay, so anyway, Carter is associated, in other words, with this 77 year and the number 77, and that's why in this score, it also hinted at 77, because we were talking about Jimmy Carter here and his predicted death, but God also pointed to this through Gerald Ford, who Jimmy Carter beat in the election and then was inaugurated in 77. The 4-point difference and the new 40-yard line rule in this game involving the team from Chicago hinted at the 44th president and Antichrist, Barack, who is from Chicago. The fourth named storm of the season, Debbie, which hints at Barack because of Judges chapter 4, will hit the 39th state and then hit the 4th state 4 days before the predicted death of the 39th president in the 4th state. Right? Because the storm hit on the 5th, and it was the fourth named storm of the season, and it first hit before hitting the 4th state, the 3 times 9th state, and this was 4 days before the predicted death of the 39th president in the 4th state. This will be on the date 8-9, August 9th, which will be the 50th anniversary of the 40th vice president and the football president being sworn in as the president. Okay, the 40th vice president was sworn in on August 9th, 1974, exactly 50 years before the predicted death of Jimmy Carter. Okay, August 9th, 1974 was the end of the Watergate scandal with Nixon's resignation. The first preseason game of the season ended early due to torrential rain. Hurricane Beryl hit the U.S. on the date 7/7. Carter's inauguration as the U.S. president was in 77. Hurricane Beryl was the 4+4th Atlantic storm in history to be named Beryl, which hints at the birth name of the 44th president, Barry. Barry was born in 61. And the first ever storm named Beryl was named in 61. In Bible prophecy, the 4+4th stone in the New Jerusalem is beryl. The word beryl in Strong's Greek Bible Concordance is G969. In the Bible, Methuselah died at the age of 969. At the time that the flood judgment began. Hurricanes are symbolic of the flood in the Bible. The name Methuselah means when he dies, destruction. This is why Jimmy Carter is symbolism for Methuselah. Okay, this is amazing. I'm just going to summarize this, okay? Hurricane Beryl, the 8th storm, and the 8th stone in Bible prophecy is beryl, and that word in the concordance is G969, okay? And Methuselah is associated with 969, and beryl hit the U.S. on the date 7/7, which hints at Carter and his inauguration in 77. All right? This is the beginning of why it is very clear that Jimmy Carter is symbolism for Methuselah, but the role of Methuselah in the Bible is the timing of his death. And Jimmy Carter is about to die. The timing of his death is why the name Methuselah means when he dies, destruction. He died right at the beginning of the flood. Which is why when Jimmy Carter will die, it will be symbolism for when he dies, destruction of America. Peter in the Bible wrote that the coming destruction would be symbolized by fire instead of water. 9 subtract 3 days after the predicted death. Okay, now, we've already discussed this. It's now no longer believed that the coronal mass ejection will be on August 15th, okay? But nonetheless, the timing of Jimmy Carter's death is definitely signifying the beginning of destruction, and that will begin with the death of Kamala Harris, because it is through her death that the Antichrist will become the president again, who, incidentally, is the 44th president, and Hurricane Beryl was the 4+4th storm named Beryl. The first one ever named Beryl was in 61. Obama was born in 61. Okay? And by the way, there was a Hurricane Barry, which hints at Beryl, but I think I get into it later in this video, so I won't elaborate any further. Well, anyway, Jimmy Carter, that was a very prophetic hurricane. It was known for its power outages, and it hit the 18th state, which is 6 + 6 + 6. And it occurred on the day of the Manhattan blackout, which was known for, obviously, its power outage, and on, actually. So anyway, Jimmy Carter, the 39th president, was inaugurated in 77, and he began a symbolic parallel with prophecy in the book of Revelation regarding an 8th king who follows the 7th king. Hurricane Debbie will hit the 3 times 9th state on the date 8/5, which outside the US is written as 5/8. This hints at the prophecy in Revelation 17:11 involving the 5th through 8th kings. Okay, this 7 kings prophecy is part of this 5th through 8th kings prophecy in Revelation 17:11. Okay, and the date of the storm that hit the 3 times 9th state, and then the 4th state, which again I'm saying hints at the 39th president dying in the 4th state. Okay, that date was 5/8 written outside of the US, and the 58th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 58th row is 1711, which hints at the 5th through 8th kings in Revelation 17:11. That is amazing beyond words. When this first was discovered, it put a whole lot of pieces of the puzzle together. This is how it was first come to understand. Well, actually, no, it was confirmation, actually, because it was first already speculated in my mind that Carter and his inauguration in 77 began a parallel with the 7 kings. By the way, the 7th of these president kings is Trump, who was also inaugurated in a year ending with 7. And on that day, he was exactly 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old. And 77 days later, he launched 59 missiles into the Middle East. And 59 is the 7th super prime number, and on and on. Okay. Obama is the 8th king, which is why Beryl was the 8th Atlantic storm named Beryl, and why the 8th stone in the New Jerusalem is beryl. G969 is the word beryl, and in octal base number counting, the number 1711 is the equivalent of 969 in normal 10-base counting. That is amazing. That is amazing. Because again, beryl is the 8th stone in the Bible, and that word in the concordance is 969. And okay, in octal as in 8 base counting, 969 is equal to 1,711, which is further confirmation that Jimmy Carter is Methuselah, and that he is also symbolic of a beginning of this 7 kings prophecy, which is about the 5th through 8th kings. The 8th king, I might as well explain here, because this is really just a summary, brief notes. When I'm writing such an email as this, I don't have enough energy to just type out everything. So the thing is that this 8th king, as I've explained in other videos, the secondary fulfillment of this is Jimmy Carter, this Revelation 17:11 prophecy. That's the first thing to say. It is only the secondary fulfillment of it. It is, if you will, a symbolic fulfillment of this prophecy. The primary fulfillment of this prophecy is about Pope Francis specifically, and Rome, and a revived Roman Empire. Okay? Now, the secondary fulfillment has it that the 8th king is said to have been, is not, and will be again. Okay? It's actually speaking again about the Roman Empire. But in the secondary fulfillment, Barack Obama was the president, is not the president, and will be again. This will be the case when he is sitting next to the 7th king, President Trump, on the pew in the funeral at Carter's funeral. Okay? That's, by the way, why James Earl Jones will die on this day, because he is king symbolism, because of him being the voice of the Lion King, and on and on. So it'll be pointing to this king's prophecy. But the point of all of this, though, that God is communicating with this story, is to point to Barack Obama as the future 8th king. Because at that moment, at the funeral, he will have been the president, past tense, is not the president, and will again be the president king. Okay? And that's why, again, also the 8, because it's 4 plus 4. God designed this before the Bible was written, that the 44th president would be the president. That's why the 8th stone is 4 plus 4, the 8th stone in the prophecy. All right. 4 days after the 4th named storm will hit the 3 times 9th state in the 4th state. By the way, there were 4 deaths. This was written before the storm, but it turns out that there were 4 deaths in Florida in the 3 times 9th state. Okay, that's what this hurricane is known for. 4 deaths in the 3 times 9th state. And also, 4 times 400 flights were canceled. You can verify this if you'd like. It's amazing. 4 times 400 flights were canceled, and there were 4 deaths. And 4 days by the 4th named storm of the season that also hit the 4th state, which was 4 days after the storm that shut down the preseason football game early, which I'll get into again in a minute here. All right, but 4 days after, 4 deaths due to the 4th named storm of the season that canceled 4 times 400 flights, that hit the 4th state, okay? 4 days after that, which, by the way, again, was August 5th, which again hinted at 5-8 in the 5th through 8th kings, right? Okay, 4 days after that will be August 9th, the date of the predicted death of the 39th president, which is why it hit the 3 times 9th state and killed 4 people, because 4 people okay, that's amazing too. In the 3 times 9th state, it killed 4 people, and 4 days after that, this 4th named storm that killed 4 people in the 3 times 9th state, it is predicted that the 39th president will die in the 4th state on August 9th. August 9th hints at 89. And the reciprocal of 89, meaning 1 divided by 89, is 0.01123. This is relevant because 1,123 is the 188th prime number, And H188 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance is the word for woe, exclamation mark, which is used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. That's why God frequently uses this number in the context of woe, exclamation mark. And that's what we are expecting with the death of Jimmy Carter. Because again, when he dies, destruction, Methuselah. Which is why the date he will die on is 89, or 89, which hints at 89, and the reciprocal means woe, exclamation mark. 89 is also the 24th prime number. And Carter was born in 1924, and will die, predicted to die, in 2024. G2424 is the word for Jesus. Jimmy Carter's initials are JC, which hints at Jesus Christ, and hints at his return in 24. 2024 hints at 2 times 24 and G2424. In other words, before the Bible was written, God knew that the Lord would return in 2024, and that's why his name in the Bible is G2424, because of 2024. Carter was the 39th president. His predicted death on August 9th will hint at 89. 89 subtract 39 is 50. The date 8/9 in 2024 will be the 50th anniversary of the end of Watergate, as in Methuselah, as in the flood, as in the floodgates opening and the flood, judgment, destruction in the Bible. Okay, let me repeat that. Okay, Jimmy Carter is the 39th president, and he's predicted to die on the date that hints at 89, and 89 times, or subtract 39 is 50, and the date he will die on the date 8/9, which hints, which hints at 89, and again, 89 subtracted 39 is 50. The date he will die is predicted to be 50 years exactly after the end of Watergate. The predicted death of the 39th president on the date 8/9 will be 39 days after the death of famous screenplay writer Robert Towne at the age of 89. Okay, now there was an amazing video made prior to July 1st predicting that Carter would die on that date because God was pointing to that date ahead of time. It was part of the trail of signs, a step in the trail of signs that is leading to the predicted death of Jimmy Carter. And through the signs that occurred on July 1st, we received amazing confirmation that made the analysis 100% correct, but also told us stories that God used to communicate very essential, extremely important knowledge, which is why God does this. This is why it's different than simply God tapping someone on the shoulder and saying, tell the world that such and such is going to happen on such and such date. That would give us nothing. It is through this big picture of signs and these trails of signs that include steps in the trail that God is able to tell stories and reveal important knowledge, such as what I'm about to describe here, but this isn't really the explanation. The full explanation is in the other Carter video, and when the prediction comes to pass, the wise person will recognize, because of all of what I just said, that every minute of every video that is predicting the death of Jimmy Carter must be watched. All right, now, once again, the predicted death of Jimmy Carter, the 39th president, is predicted to be 39 days after the death on July 1st, which was a date predicted in advance to be a date related to Jimmy Carter, of the famous screenplay writer Robert Towne at the age of 89. Okay, and 39 days later is the date 8/9, which hints at 89. Towne's death at 89 was in turn exactly 1711, which hints at, again, the Revelation 17:11 prophecy that Carter is pointing to, days after the death of famous movie producer Robert Evans, also at the age of 89. And again, the 89 has embedded in it not only the date that Carter will die, these two men dying at the age of 89 hint at that, but also, again, 89 hints at woe, exclamation mark. This is very important, this number 89 regarding Carter. And these two men died at 89, 1,711 days apart. That's astounding beyond words because, again, July 1st was known to be for Jimmy Carter's death, and then it was instead Robert Towne's death 1,711 days after Robert Evans's death, also at the age of 89. Okay, Carter's death and funeral will point to Revelation 17:11 and the prophecy about the 5th through 8th kings, which I just explained earlier. His funeral will be pointing to this because Barack Obama is the 8th king. The was, is not, and will be again. 1711 is the 58th triangular number. In Revelation 17:11, the 8th king is said to have been, is not, and will be again. At Carter's funeral, the former president's kings will be lined up in chronological order, just like the prophecy. And at that moment, Obama, the future 8th king, will be sitting next to Trump, the 7th king. At that moment, Obama will have been the president, is not the president, but will again be the president king. Robert Evans and Robert Towne worked together on the movie Chinatown. Okay? Robert Towne won the Oscar for Best Screenplay for Chinatown. The two Roberts hinted at the two Jakes, the sequel to Chinatown. And this hints at the two Antichrists. The movie Chinatown, with the famous screenplay written by Robert Towne, also hints at China and the movie The Manchurian Candidate. The Manchurian Candidate. The Manchurian Candidate and Antichrist Barack Obama is from the 50th state. Like the unelected President Ford, the football president who famously wore jersey number 48 in college, Obama is predicted to become the unelected 48th president, which is why Carter, who is symbolism for Methuselah, who died at the time of the flood, will die on the 50th anniversary of Ford being sworn in at the end of the Watergate scandal on 8/9 in 74. That's another 89. Which is why the end of Watergate was exactly 50 days. Okay, Watergate, on August 9th, 1974, the end of it, and the beginning of Ford's presidency, was exactly 50 days after the release of the movie Chinatown. And the movie Chinatown, the plot of it is about water supply and rights to the scarce water supply of water. Obama, the Antichrist, will take complete control of the scarce food supply after the predicted coronal mass ejection and eruption of Yellowstone volcano on September 5th. Chinatown, about water supply, was released 50 days before the end of Watergate, which is exactly 50 years before the predicted death of Carter, who is symbolism for Methuselah, and the timing of the flood water destruction. Which again connects to the death of Robert Towne, who wrote Chinatown. Chinatown made $29.2 million. And this hints at the number 229, the 50th prime number. So this is amazing beyond words. I cannot, hopefully you get what I described here and can see how beautiful and how creative the master artist God is. Okay? I mean, it's a swirling big picture here. You've got the death of Carter's predicted death on 8/9 connected to Robert Towne, who died at 8/9 1,711 days after Robert Evans, and they both worked on Chinatown. And Chinatown was released 50 days before 8/9. And those two men died on the date at the age of 89. Okay, and Chinatown is about water supply and rights, and Obama the Antichrist will take away rights and also take complete control of the food supply. Not the water supply, but the food supply. It's amazing. And then it connects to Watergate. 50 days later, after the release of this movie, and then 50 years after Watergate, is the predicted death of Methuselah, who died at the time of the flood judgment, as in Watergate, as in water supply in the movie Chinatown. I'm repeating myself now because, well, how can we not? It's just so amazing, right? And it all, by the way, ties to Gerald Ford too, because he famously wore jersey number 48 in college. Obama is the basketball president who is famous for his jersey, by the way. At auction was the highest ever auctioned high school jersey. Anyway, so he's also associated with a jersey, Obama, and he's the basketball president, and Ford is the football president, but Obama is predicted to be the 48th president, and that's why Ford, the unelected president, wore number 48. Okay. There's also a famous photo of Ford standing next to his best friend who is wearing number 61, and Obama was born in 61. But that's a story that I'll get into, I think, later in this video. If not, I'll hopefully remember to explain the story, but I think it's in this video. The death of the 39th president or predicted death, on 8/9, will be 4 days after Hurricane Debbie, the fourth named storm of the season, that will hit the fourth state and will point to Deborah and Barak in Judges chapter 4. And again, it killed 4 people, and there was 4 times 400 flights canceled. And it's possible that Carter will die 7 days before Harris's predicted flight and crash. In fact, because of that, I'm actually, as I'm speaking, realizing, you know what? It's probably more likely that Carter will die on the 8th. But anyway, but it'll be reported on the 9th, because God is pointing to the 9th here. In other words, when George Bush died, he died in the late evening, and the news didn't break until a couple of hours later in the early morning of the next day, which could be the case with Carter as well. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying though earlier, this fourth storm that killed 4 people and hit the fourth state, etc., is 4 days after August 1st, which pointed to Gerald Ford, the 40th vice president, who was appointed to replace the 39th vice president, Spiro Agnew. The 44th president is from Chicago, and the first preseason game of the season on August 1st this year, known as the Hall of Fame game, that's the annual first game, preseason game of the season, it's called the Hall of Fame game, pointed to the football president's participation in the annual Chicago Charities College All-Star Game. Again, this Hall of Fame game included the team from Chicago. Okay, not only is the 44th president from Chicago, but this year's game included the Chicago Bears. And Ford participated one year in the Chicago Charities College All-Star Game. Okay, like this year's Hall of Fame game, the last Chicago Charities College All-Star Game also ended in the third quarter due to lightning and torrential rain. Okay, that's amazing because we were talking about Methuselah and the flood. Okay, in Hebrew, the name Barak means lightning. This last year for the Chicago Charities College All-Star Game was in 76. The year that the football president, who wore jersey number 48, was beaten by Jimmy Carter in the 48th presidential election. You got to be kidding, right? Ford wore jersey 48, and he was beaten in the 48th presidential election in 76. Now, 76, by the way, the 76th semi-prime number is 226, and H, 226 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance is the word that means prophetic sign, which is why this last Chicago Charities College All-Star Game was in 76, the year that Gerald Ford, the football president, was beaten. But that, in turn, points also to the Chicago Charities College All-Star Game that Ford participated in, which I'll get to in a second. After President Ford's death, his family blessed the unretirement of Ford's Michigan Wolverines jersey number 48 on August 13th, 2012, in a game against Illinois, the state that the predicted 48th president represented as a U.S. senator. Okay, the unretirement of a jersey hints at the unretirement of Barack Obama as the president and becoming the president again, which is why it was the unretirement of the number 48, and Obama is predicted to unretire and become the 48th president. Okay, now, we have the date here that this jersey was unretired in a game against Illinois, which again confirms this points to the predicted 48th president, because it was Illinois. Okay, the annual Chicago Charities College All-Star Game was played against the reigning Super Bowl champions. Okay, so the college All-Stars played against the previous year's Super Bowl winner. All right, in the games last year in 76, it was played against Pittsburgh. Ford's jersey number 48 came out of retirement. That's his college football number, which he would have been wearing when he played in the Chicago Charities College All-Star Game, okay? Now, the year that the last game was played was in 76, which I just explained tied to Gerald Ford. And Ford's jersey number 48 came out of retirement on August 13th, 2012, which hints at Barack Obama coming out of retirement, right, as the 48th president. Okay, Ford's 48 college number came out of retirement on August 13th, 2012, exactly 11 years and 9 months, which hints at 9/11 and the warning of judgment, but also Genesis 9/11, which regards God's covenant with man regarding the flood. 11 years and 9 months exactly from the unretirement of Ford's jersey, before President Trump was shot at a rally in rural Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh. Okay, again, the last game that was played of the Chicago Charities All-Star Games was against Pittsburgh. Okay, and the unretirement of Ford's jersey, and Ford played in one of these games, was exactly 11 years and 9 months, which by the way also hints at Revelation 9:11 and the King Abaddon, king of destruction. That's what it literally says in the Bible. King Abaddon means king of destruction. I'm not just saying that. It actually says that in the text. It explains it in the text. That's king. That's king symbolism. We're talking about the Antichrist king here. And Carter being symbolism for the 7 kings, right? And the 8th king. Okay, which is why the 4 plus 4th barrel storm, the 4th stone, 4 plus 4th stone. Okay. I just want to repeat this because this is so amazing, and I'm building to a climax here. What I'm saying is that this jersey number 48, this jersey number 48 that came out of retirement, that hints at the coming out of retirement and Barack Obama becoming the 8th king, okay, is exactly 11 years and 9 months, which hints at Revelation 9:11 and the king, before President Trump was shot at a rally in rural Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh, and the last Chicago Charities All-Star game was played against Pittsburgh. Okay? This is because on 9/11, as in the 11 years and 9 months, it was Flight 93 that crashed in a rural field outside of Pittsburgh. The 44 deaths in that crash hints at the 44th president and predicted 48th president. Flight 93 hints at the sun that is 93 million miles away from Earth and hints at the 39th president, who is symbolic of Methuselah. Methuselah means when he dies, destruction. The 39th president is predicted to die 3 times 9 days after Trump was shot near Pittsburgh, which hinted at Flight 93 that killed 44 people and was exactly 11 years and 9 months after the unretirement of the unelected president's jersey number 48, which points to the unretirement of the 44th president as the 48th president. Like Gerald Ford, Barack Obama will be unelected. He will be appointed instead, thus overcoming the 22nd Amendment's restriction on someone being elected to the office more than twice. He will be appointed. The final score of the last Chicago Charities College All-Star game was 24-0. Carter was born in 24 and is predicted to die in 24, and he is predicted to die on the date 8-9, which hints at 89, the 24th prime number. And again, all of this is because of G2424, the word Jesus in the Bible, and that's why Jimmy Carter's initials are JC, Jesus Christ. The 76th semi-prime number is 226, and H226 is the Hebrew word meaning prophetic sign. In Bible prophecy, the Antichrist will enforce the mark of the Antichrist, which is the CVD thing. And you know what I'm talking about. The thing that you can't talk about is the mark of the Antichrist. In its current form, it does not need an additional something to go with it, such as an additional technology or false form of religious worship or some supposed new age of dispensation after supposedly all quote-unquote Christians have been raptured. In fact, one of the main reasons why the vast majority of quote-unquote Christians have already taken the mark of the Antichrist is in fact judgment for this particular doctrine of dispensationalism. This doctrine that is the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day, that Jesus said he hates and is coming to make war with the sword of his mouth on those that teach and have the works that are a product of this doctrine. The commonly held objections that people have based on their understanding of Bible prophecy are answered in the must-watch snake bite video on this channel, but make no mistake. The reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction, the purpose of this prediction that is from God, is to prove what I have just said. Believe me, I know far better than you the reason for the purpose of this prediction. Okay. It was in 76 that President Ford announced his Thing program. Okay? Here is the thing here. Why are we talking about 76 here? 76, again, is a number that symbolizes prophetic sign. So this year 76 is quite important. I've just started to scratch the surface of it. We are talking about the 48th presidential election, which hints at the 48th president, the Antichrist, right? We are talking about the last Chicago Charities All-Star Game and its connection to Ford and what I just explained about how it all points to the death of Carter through President Trump's assassination near Pittsburgh and on and on. It's just so amazing, right? Now, there's another thing that happened in 76. 76 was the other year. What did we just go through recently in the last 3 years? The CVD and the thing, right? But this wasn't the first time. It wasn't tyrannical in 76 like it was in the end times, which we are in and have been in for years, which began in 2017, making, in other words, CVD part of the end times judgment for those who have eyes to see, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be recognized by the entire world that we are in the end times until, if you will, the final couple of months, which is coming up in September and October. Okay, so, but anyway, what else happened in 76 was a parallel. It was a prophetic foreshadow, if you will, with the unelected president. Because the future unelected president, Barack Obama, will enforce the mark of the Antichrist as the Antichrist. That's his role. But we have a foreshadow of this with the other unelected president and the Other Thing program, which began in 76. Okay. And this was due to the fear of swine FLU. And it began officially when Ford announced this on March 24th, 1976. This was the initiation, the symbolic beginning of the program to put a thing in every American for the swine FLU. Okay? That's what Ford wanted to do. He said at this time that the goal was to put a thing into every American out of the fear, which, like the CVD, was unwarranted, of the swine FLU. Okay? This was exactly 223 days before he was defeated in the 48th presidential election. And 223 is the 48th prime number. And again, Ford wore jersey number 48. It is amazing. What can I say? What can I say? Ford began the Thing program 223 days, which is at 48, before the 48th presidential election, and he wore jersey number 48. And again, all of this is a foreshadow of the mark of the Antichrist being enforced by the 48th president. March 24th, 1976 is also exactly 48 years. 4 months and 8 days, which hints at 48 and 48. Before the prophetic Hall of Fame football game on August 1st, 2024, that pointed to this president, the football president, who wore jersey number 48. Amazing. Okay, the big symbolic beginning of the foreshadow for the mark of the Antichrist. March 24th, 1976. I just explained how it connected to the 48th presidential election. But it was also exactly 48 years, 4 months, and 8 days, which hints at 2 48s, before the Hall of Fame football game that I've been talking about, on August 1st, 2024. And now this is amazing confirmation that I'm not just making this up, that this really was a football game that pointed to Gerald Ford, who wore jersey number 48 in college. Because again, as I mentioned, this Hall of Fame football game that was a preseason game hinted at the annual college Chicago Charities College All-Star games that were essentially preseason games back in the day. And again, this game on August 1st, with its torrential rain, just like the last Chicago Charities All-Star game, was a torrential rain game that also got canceled in the third quarter. This game was about the new rule for the 40-yard line for kickoffs, which since at the kickoff of the end times with the death of Methuselah, Carter, but Ford was the 40th vice president, and the points differential was 4. And again, that game, the score 21-17 hinted at 3 and 8, and the 38th president, Gerald Ford. Okay. The predicted 48th president will enforce the mark of the Antichrist thing. In God's signs, the number 22 is symbolic of the Antichrist. Sorry, the mark of the Antichrist. That's a typo. The number 22 is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist, because the inverse of the mark of the Antichrist described in the book of Ezekiel would have been a Tav mark, a Tav letter, and the Tav letter in the Hebrew alphabet is the last and 22nd letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and the mark of the Antichrist is described in the last and 22nd book out of 22 books in the Bible that have a total of 22 chapters, the book of Revelation. Okay, so that's why, in a nutshell, the number 22 is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist in God's big picture of signs. And by the way, what I wanted to say is that this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required. And that's what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination, and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. Okay, and so this 48 years and 4 months and 8 days is another confirmation of the prophetic significance of this Hall of Fame football game that pointed to Ford, who wore jersey number 48. Now, as I was saying, in God's signs, the number 22 is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist, and Ford announced his Thing program, which is a foreshadow for the mark of the Antichrist, exactly 22 years before the birth of Damar Hamlin, the football player who infamously collapsed onto the football field after taking the Thing. And we all know that that's the reason why he collapsed. I mean, of course. But the evidence that we are in the end times is that you aren't allowed to say that. Even he couldn't say it. You could say it was he was on the cusp of saying it in the big interview he gave. And I think even the interviewer said, well, we don't want to go there. Or he said, it's like everyone knows, but you're just not allowed to talk about it. It's unreal, right? It truly is Antichrist because of the 30% of the population that are hypnotized by the spirit of Antichrist, that are in the, well, let's not get into that. They're in a mass, Formation, okay? A mass movement, a hypnotic movement, okay? Now, the 48th presidential election was 223, which again hints at the 48th prime number, days after the football president announced his Thing program, and the 48th presidential election was exactly 4 + 4 years before the release of the movie The Killing Fields, on the same day that this guy whose name begins with an and ends with a tone, Anthony, and whose name begins with an F and ends with an ouchie, became the director of the NIAID. All right? That guy. He became the director, that famous guy, you know what I'm talking about, on the same day that the movie The Killing Fields was released. Now, The Killing Fields is about the slaughter in the mass Formation in Cambodia that was a communist revolution, but it wasn't, because what is communism? It's not, for those that are wise enough to know, it's not about an economic model. It's about resentment and hatred. That's the motivating fact, the impetus of the people on the far left. And even left of center, because as Stalin said, the liberals and Democrats and socialists are simply useful idiots on the way to communism. They truly are. They are very much idiotic, lacking in wisdom, and do not understand that they are just inching towards totalitarianism in a slower way than what they did in Cambodia. But anyway, this is what it all leads to. And that's what it's leading to in our time as well. It's leading to a genocide, a politicide. This is what God is communicating in his signs. But the CVD thing was a mass murder, just like the killing fields in Cambodia. And that's why the guy whose name begins with a F and ends with an ouchie became the director of the organization that I just mentioned on the same day as the release of the movie The Killing Field. And not only that, the name that begins with a F and ends with an ouchie in Italian means sickle. As in the book of Revelation, and the angel that uses a sickle to harvest the grapes that are thrown into the winepress of God's wrath. Okay, now, there's more to this, but what I'm saying is that November 2nd, 1984, the release of The Killing Fields and the rise of, who, by the way, rose to his position of power through corruption. That's another story, though. And cheating, just like Obama will become the president again through the shoplifted referendum. Okay, that date, 11/2, November 2nd, 1984, was exactly 4 + 4 years, which hints at the 44th president, after the 48th presidential election, which again was a 48 prime number after the 48th president announced his Thing program. In other words, the Thing program connects to the guy that begins with an F or a F and ends with an ouchie. Did you see that? It's 48th prime number to the 48th presidential election, and then 4 + 4 years to the F and ends with an ouchie day and the Killing Fields day. The Thing, the foreshadow of the Thing in 76 connects with F and ends with an ouchie. But it connects through these connections that point to the 48th president, the Antichrist, who will enforce the mark of the Antichrist. Which is leading to the genocide, because those who have taken the mark of the Antichrist will soon become demonically possessed. And that demonic possession will be part of the politicide. In other words, we can expect a Rwanda type of genocide, where people are just going crazy. But it's a politicide. I don't know for sure that it will be like exactly like Rwanda. It very, in fact, I take it back. I do see in God's signs that it being organized and being from the state organized. So I take that back. Furthermore, Bible prophecy alludes to it too, that this coming genocide of Christians, true Christians, because there'll be quote unquote Christians that'll be on the team that is committing the genocide. True Christians and true conservatives are the target, as described in Bible prophecy. And it's clear that it will be organized from Bible prophecy. So it'll be state-controlled as well, state operated. Okay. Now, so we have the 4 plus 4 years connection, all right? The release of the killing fields, and so the Antichrist is predicted to be the 48th president and was the 44th president. The release of the killing fields in the beginning of the and ends with an ouchie in his reign on November 2nd, 1984, was exactly 4 plus 4 years after the 48th presidential election. And it was exactly 444 months before the Atlanta Braves won the 117th World Series, which was 9 months and 11 days after the home run king and former Atlanta Brave, player number 44, which since at the Antichrist king, 44th president, Hank Aaron, died in Atlanta after publicly taking the thing. And he took it 6 plus 6 plus 6 days exactly after the first day of the 117th Congress, which is why the connection to the day that the Atlanta team won the 117th World Series. And this 117th Congress was the first time that it was opened ceremoniously with a blasphemous prayer to a pagan god instead of the God of the Bible. The middle chapter of the Bible is Psalm 117. And the phrase, "let it divide," in Hebrew, in the book of Genesis, in the beginning, first chapter, is equal to 117 in Hebrew gematria. God's purpose for the mark of the Antichrist thing is to divide the sheep from the goats, the wheat from the chaff. By the way, this is, in general, God's design for his creation, which is why the anti-design, the anti-plan, the Antichrist, Satan, is all about, supposedly, he pretends to be, unification, communism, collectivism, Tower of Babel. It's the opposite of God. Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to unite and to unify. I have come to divide with the sword." God's purpose is to divide. The purpose of this life, this creation we are in, it's the opposite of what the left thinks and the communists think. The communists aren't really communists. Don't get confused. They're really just full of hate and they just want to bring down the establishment. That's the truth. But they claim, and it gives them meaning in life because they're atheists, right? They don't have a God, and so the state becomes their God. And when the state becomes their God, rights come from the state instead of from God, which is why collectivism is evil. It inevitably leads to the trampling of human individual rights, which is why no one should be, especially in our day, anything close to being left of center. We are in a totalitarian moment where individual rights are stripped. I'm not allowed, for example, to speak my mind here in this video if I want this video to be accessible to a large number of people. So, anyway, that is why the number 117 and the 117th Congress and the 117th World Series connected with the biggest, if you will, prophetic sign of them all regarding the thing, the death of the home run king, number 44, who died 6 plus 6 plus 6 days after taking the thing, which was a sign expected in advance because it was exactly 444 weeks. In other words, I predicted January 22nd ahead of time, 2021, that it would be very important because I knew that it was 444 weeks exactly after the mass shooting in the theater, the Batman movie massacre. Anyway, I don't want to get off into that because that will require more explanation But anyway, mass shootings and God's signs are symbolic of the mass taking of the things. Things that come out of guns and go into people are symbolic of things that come out of things and go into people and kill people. Okay? Well, anyway, let's move on. What I'm saying, though, is that Ford and the 48th presidential election and the Thing program connects with the 48th prime number to the 48th presidential election, which connects with 4 + 4 years to the beginning of and ends with an ouchie, and the killing fields, which connects with 444 months to the 117th World Series won by Atlanta, which was 9 months and 11 days after the former Atlanta Brave died. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, the middle chapter, okay, we got into that. 117 means to divide. Let it divide. Now, the prophetic final out, because God uses these prophetic final outs of baseball games for the prophetic sign. The prophetic final out of the 117th World Series was made by Freddie Freeman, player number 5. And this was the same day that the FDA approved the Thing for 5-year-olds. It is 5G frequencies that will trigger the self-assembling components that are in the brains of those who have taken the Thing that will facilitate demonic possession. Right? That's why the prophetic final out, was made by player number 5 on the same day that the Thing was approved for 5-year-olds. It's because it is 5G frequencies that will trigger the mass demonic possession. It'll trigger the self-assembling components that are in the brains of those who have taken the Thing. And that is what will bring about the demonic possession, the brain waves, delta brain waves. This prophetic final out made by player number 5 on the day that the Thing was approved for 5-year-olds is 278.0% of a calendar year before the predicted date of Carter's funeral. 278 is the 88th semi-prime number. The last out made by player number 5 and approval for 5-year-olds connects with the number 88 to the predicted funeral of Carter, and the funeral will be a prophetic sign that will point to the prophecy about the 5th through 8th kings. This connection is also exactly 145 weeks, and 145 is the 7 times 7th semi-prime number. Carter's inauguration in 77 began a parallel in the Bible prophecy about 7 kings and an 8th king, which will be on display at the funeral when the former king presidents are lined up in chronological order, pointing to the future 8th king. It was Freddie Freeman who made the final prophetic out. He wears jersey number 5, and this was the last out that won the World Series, was made on the same day that the Thing was approved for 5-year-olds. In the off-season, he was traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Freeman returned to Atlanta as a Dodger to play his old Atlanta Braves team. And at the time, he received a standing ovation from the fans while also receiving his World Series ring from the manager of the Braves. This standing ovation was exactly 33 weeks and 3 days after he made the prophetic last out. And by the way, there are 3 outs in an inning, and there are 3 times 3 innings. Wow, I just realized that. Wow, that's it. That's why the 33 weeks and 3 days. There are 3 times 3 innings in a game, and there are 3 outs in an inning. This was the last prophetic out, and the ovation was 33 weeks and 3 days after the last out that Freddie Freeman made. the standing ovation for Freeman. On August 5th, 2024, Freddie Freeman received a standing ovation from the fans. This is a different one, right? I'm talking about another one. This was in 2021 that he won the World Series, and then 33 weeks and 3 days later, which isn't more than a year. So we're talking about sometime in 2022. I forget the date. I didn't record it. But anyway, Freddie Freeman received another prophetic standing ovation on this date, August 5th, 2024, which was the day, by the way, of the storm, the fourth named storm of the season that killed 4 people, hit the 4th state. Well, anyway, on August 5th, 2024, Freddie Freeman received a standing ovation, another prophetic one, from the fans in Los Angeles this time, after missing 3 games to be with his 3-year-old son, who was in the hospital for Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is what many people get after taking the thing. This standing ovation after missing 3 games to be with his 3-year-old son was exactly 33 months and 3 days after player number 5 made the prophetic final out of the game on the day that the thing was approved for 5-year-olds, which again was 33 weeks and 3 days before his other prophetic ovation when he returned to Atlanta, the city that's associated with the thing, because of the 3-letter organization that is headquartered there. Right? That's why Freddie Freeman's 3-year-old got the Guillain-Barré. Because of the thing for 5-year-olds, which after that, by the way, was approved for babies. So probably Freeman gave the thing to his baby. Yep. So sad. Well, not baby, a 3-year-old. But who knows when, yeah, probably he would have gotten it. Well, I don't know. But what I do know with confidence is that his son got the Guillain-Barré syndrome from taking a thing. Whether it was the CVD thing or not, but I do know that, anyway, the thing industry, well, anyway, it causes all kinds of maladies for young people, 3-year-olds, etc. And mothers have been screaming this for many years, which is why, from God's perspective, there's no excuse for the quote-unquote Christian for having taken the mark of the Antichrist. They were ignoring the countless mothers that were warning, screaming about this for many years. And it was unrighteous to not listen to them. And I'm in that boat. By the way, I didn't take the thing, but I recognize that the thing was the mark of the Antichrist, but I'm guilty of, for all those decades, not listening to the mothers of the kids that got, and the countless mothers that suffered because of things. Okay. Freeman and the Los Angeles Dodgers played the team from Philadelphia. In the book of Revelation, Jesus said that the only church of the 7 churches that would be freed from the tribulation period of the Antichrist and fallen angels, as in Los Angeles, would be the Church of Philadelphia. And in the book of Revelation, these Christians are symbolized by the number 144. This 33 months and 3 days connection to the Braves' win of the 117th World Series, which again hints at the meaning of this as the division, this connection is also exactly 144 weeks. That's right. That's how important this connection is. It involves Philadelphia, and it's 144 weeks. This 33 months and 3 days connection. These standing ovations for freemen, as in the freed from the bondage of this world to Satan, those who will be raptured, the Church of Philadelphia, are symbolic of the cheers and celebration for those who will be freed from this world in the resurrection rapture event, which will be on September 5th. Okay, August 15th will be a step. Okay, the death of Kamala Harris when she falls from the plane. And that's August 15th will be 10 days after the prophetic standing ovation for freemen in Philadelphia. And in the book of Revelation, Jesus said that it would be a period of a symbolic 10 days of testing of Christians' faith in the end times period of the tribulation. This test of faith involves the mark of the Antichrist thing, and because taking it is tantamount to denying Jesus. The final score of the Chicago Charities College All-Star Game that Gerald Ford played in, which was in 1935, I believe, was 5-0. Carter's predicted death on August 9th, 2024, will be the 50th anniversary of the football president's presidency and the end of Watergate. That's why the score was 5-0. It hints at 50. In other words, we are talking about Ford's association with this annual game, and the one that he played in, the score was 5-0, which is, by the way, a very, very unusual score for a football game, making it more confirmation that it was designed by God in order to point to this number 50. And that is because of the significance of the beginning of this president's presidency at the end of Watergate, exactly 50 years before the death of Carter, who is Methuselah, as in the flood and the water flooding. Carter's predicted death on the 50th anniversary of the end of Watergate, 4 days after the fourth named storm, Debbie, in the fourth state that killed 4 people and canceled 4 times 400 flights, that points to Deborah and Barak in Judges chapter 4, will also be exactly 4 plus 4 plus 4 months after a state of emergency was declared in the 50th state due to a firestorm. This is amazing. Okay, Carter's predicted death on 8/9 will be exactly 4 plus 4 plus 4 months after the Lahaina fire in Maui, on Maui. The Lahaina fire is known for forcing many people to jump over a seawall, as in a gate, and into the ocean, as in water, as in Watergate and President Ford. By the way, in the Bible, judgment on a people symbolically begins at the gate, which is why Watergate, and the connection to Carter and his death signifying the beginning of judgment and destruction, and the beginning at the gate. Carter, in other words, is the gate, and it's being confirmed through these connections to Watergate, including through the Lahaina fire. The Lahaina fire was a massive prophetic sign, but its meaning is only being explained on this channel, like many of the prophetic signs, in fact, most of them. And that's because the full intended meaning of the prophetic signs cannot be properly understood without their context and connections to the other prophetic signs. It is a big picture of signs. This Maui fire, everyone will remember this. It was a huge thing. People that are interested in prophecy were talking about it also. But it is only through these connections that we can know the purpose of this prophetic sign. It was on the anniversary of Watergate. It was on the 7 times 7th anniversary of Watergate, which also hints at Carter. But it was on a year, it was the 49th anniversary, and Carter will die on the 50th anniversary. And by the way, 49 and 50 years is prophetic in the Bible in Leviticus chapter 25. But it's pointing to Carter. The first, and it's 4 plus 4 plus 4 months is a year. which hints at the 44th president. And furthermore, we've already established this connection with Carter's death being 4 days after the fourth storm and that killed 4 people in the fourth state, etc., which is a second witness to the 4 + 4 + 4 months connection, which confirms it. And that's what I said is how it works. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses. Now, it's also water. It's also Watergate because they jumped over. The fire is known for them jumping into the water. And it was known for them being rescued in a boat, which is flood symbolism. The Coast Guard came and rescued them. The National Coast Guard, as in a national judgment warning sign. Okay. This firestorm caused 2 times $3 billion in damages. And Barack Obama wore jersey number 23 in high school in the 50th state, which is where the Lahaina fire was. In the firestorm, there was a total of 171 people killed, injured, or missing. This hints at Revelation 17:11 and the 5th through 8th Kings. 1711 is the 58th triangular number, and 171 is the 6 + 6 + 6th triangular number. In Bible prophecy, judgment on a people symbolically begins at the gate. The state of emergency that was declared on August 9th in 2023 in Hawaii, that's what made it a sign, right? The fire was actually the day before, but the first death toll came in the following morning, and it was on the following morning that the state of emergency was declared for the entire state. Okay? And that was on the date 8/9, and again, 8/9 hints at 0.1123. This is a typo. Okay? 0.0123, which is hinting at the 188th prime number, which again is meaning in the concordance, woe, exclamation mark, used in the context of extreme judgment from God. Okay? And the fires in the 50th state that caused 2 times $3 billion in damages was exactly 49 years, or 7 times 7 years, which hints at Carter's inauguration in 77, after the end of Watergate. 2 times 3 days after the predicted death of the 39th president on the 50th. Okay, so again, this was before it was understood. Okay, so let me, sorry, this is correct. 2 times 3 days after the predicted death of the 39th president on the 50th anniversary of the end of Watergate will be the predicted death of the 49th vice president in a fiery crash near the Gateway Arch, near the Gateway Arch, due to a firestorm from the, okay, it's not going to be from the, because of the sun though, okay? That's going to be on September 5th, as I explained earlier. But that's why the 49 years, because it connects with 2 times 3 days, Carter's death to the predicted death of the 49th vice president. And that's why the Lahaina fire caused 2 times $3 billion in damages. And that's also further confirmed because this was in Hawaii, where Obama wore jersey number 23. Now, this is amazing. The lawsuit for the Maui fires was settled on August 2nd, which is, by the way, part of the story how it was so quick to have happened. It was so quick to have happened because God needed to design this to happen right before the death of Carter. Okay, so it just so happens, though, that the lawsuit for the Maui fires was just recently settled on August 2nd for $4.037 billion. The Lahaina fire was Noah's flood symbolism because, again, they jumped the seawall and were rescued by boats, just like Noah and his family from the flood. People jumped into the ocean and were rescued by the National Guard Coast Guard boats. In the Bible, God gave Noah a 7 days warning to load the ark before the flood judgment began. The lawsuit settlement on 8/2 is a 7-day warning before Carter's death in the fourth state on August 9th. Methuselah who died at the timing of the flood beginning, which began a 7 days warning, which followed a 7 days warning. It's amazing, because again, the line of fire is flood symbolism, because they jumped into the water and were rescued by boats. In the account of the flood, there are three sets of 7, for which the number 37 in the 4.037 billion hints at. The reciprocal of 37 is 0.027, 027 into infinity. And 27 is 3 times 9, which hints at the 39th president. 4.037 also hints at the 37th president's appointment of the unelected 40th vice president. Okay, the 37th president, Richard Nixon, appointed Gerald Ford the 40th vice president, which is hinting at the unelected appointment of Barack Obama. Ford's best friend on his college football team was black. The Georgia, as in Carter, who is known for being from Georgia and will die in Georgia, the Georgia Tech team refused to play Ford and the Michigan team if the black player played in the game. Ford, as a result, refused to play in the game because of this until his friend personally asked him to play. Ford wore number 48, and his friend wore number 61. This is in a famous photo of them standing next to each other in the football team photo. This is because their numbers are clear as day in the photo. It's like in your face. This is because the predicted 48th president and Antichrist was born in 61, and 61 is 6 plus 6 plus 6 is the 18th prime number, and 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6. That's why the Antichrist was born in 61. But this is why the 48th president and his jersey number, the 48th president was born in 61, and that's why Ford wore jersey 48 and stood next to number 61. His black friend, who was part of this major story that is part of the story of Gerald Ford and how he wanted to refuse to play until his friend asked him to play. But the game was against Georgia. The team from Georgia hints at the president known for being from Georgia, Jimmy Carter, who beat Ford in the 48th presidential election. Gerald Ford died on December 26th in 2006. And by the way, this is amazing. That day that Ford died, the president who wore jersey 48, is exactly 6 plus 6 plus 6 years, which, by the way, is also exactly 6 times 6 times 6 months, before the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ and the defeat of the Antichrist, the 48th president. Wow. I actually just realized that as I was recording this. That's why it's not in this video. Wow. Again, Ford is associated with the number 48. He wore 48, was beaten in the 48th presidential election. He was never elected. That was the election he was beaten in. He could have been elected, but he wasn't. All right? And that's why he died. Exactly 6 plus 6 plus 6 years. Antichrist, 666, before the Antichrist's defeat at the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, which, by the way, will be the first day of Hanukkah in the Hebrew calendar, for those that know what that is relevant, why that is relevant. Okay, now, the day that Ford died is exactly 920 weeks before the predicted funeral for Jimmy Carter that will point to the Antichrist in Bible prophecy. 920 hints at 9 and 1 plus 1 and is symbolic of the warning of judgment on 9/11, but is also hinting at Revelation 9/11 and King Abaddon, king of destruction. And if God were to symbolize 9/11 with only 2 numbers, this is how he would do it, because the 2 hints at 1 and 1. Which is why this is the case. Because it hints at the king. Because again, Carter's funeral will be about the king prophecy, and 9/11 hints at the Abaddon king in Revelation 9/11. Gerald Ford, the unelected president, was appointed as the vice president through the use of the 25th Amendment. Likewise, Barack Obama will become the unelected president through the use of the 25th Amendment. The 50th anniversary of the Ford's presidency and the end of Watergate on the date 8/9 hints at 89, and the reciprocal of 89 is 0.1123, and 1123 is the 188th prime number, which hints at H188, whoa, exclamation mark, which is used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. Carter is symbolic of Methuselah, and his death on 8/9 will be exactly 89 weeks after a photograph was taken by controversial nude photographer Spencer Tunick of 2,500 naked bodies that laid down on their sides on a beach, all facing the waves. This was a prophetic sign hinting at the coming mass deaths, including from a tsunami that will occur in the period of the Antichrist that is symbolized in prophecy by the number 2,520. These 2,500 bodies that behaved like cattle or sheep for the photographer hinted at the masses who will follow the Antichrist after he is appointed through the 25th Amendment. Now, this exact 89 weeks connection is also amazing because this was also the day of the death of Irene Cara, who sang Fame, which is an Antichrist song, and in the lyrics, it speaks of lighting up the sky like a flame, and that's exactly what will happen when Kamala Harris dies. And her death will be 90 weeks. No, it won't be. Never mind. But it does connect to, yes, it will. Because Carter's death on the date 8/9 is exactly 89 weeks after the photograph of the 2,500, which hints at the 25th Amendment. And that's the day of the death of Irene Cara. And Carter's death is predicted to be 6 days. So it's 90 weeks inclusive count, I think, maybe. Well, anyway, it's neither here nor there, because regardless, the death of Irene Cara is definitely also pointing to the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash because of the lyrics of the song. And it is through the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash that the Antichrist will become the president again. And the song Fame is Antichrist. All right. Jimmy Carter, who was born in 24 and will die in 24, as in G2424, beat Gerald Ford in the 24 plus 24th election. That's amazing. That is amazing. The only election that Carter won, by the way, was the 24 plus 24th election. And he will die in 24 and was born in 24. As a result of his football playing days, the football president had a bum knee. His bum knee caused him to fall down the steps. I should say that again. Fall down the steps of his Air Force One plane as he disembarked to meet the president of Egypt in Switzerland. In the Bible, the leader of Egypt is symbolic of the Antichrist. The name Bama in the Bible, which hints at Obama, means high place, which is a euphemism in the Bible for the idolatrous worship the Jews would conduct on the tops of mountains. Mountainous Switzerland, the top of Europe, symbolizes this. G576 in Strong's Greek Concordance is the word that means to disembark, to step off. 576 is 24 times 24. And that's relevant because of what I just explained. Ford infamously fell down the steps of his Air Force One plane as he disembarked and stepped off it on June 1st, 1975, exactly 576 months, which means to step off, to disembark, before President Joe Biden infamously fell down as he stepped off the stage at the Air Force commencement ceremony on June 1st, 2023. Later that same day, Biden bumped his head as he disembarked and stepped off his Marine One helicopter. This 576 months, which again hints at the word in the concordance, which means to step off and disembark, is also exactly 48 years and 24 plus 24 years. Biden fell down when he stepped off the Air Force plane. Biden fell down when he stepped off the Air Force stage exactly 48 years after the football president who wore jersey number 48 fell down the steps as he disembarked his Air Force plane, because Biden is predicted to step down and off the stage, the president's office, in order to make his old pal, Barack Obama, the 48th president. Biden fell down as he stepped off the Air Force stage on the date 6/1. Barack Obama was born in 61, and 61 is the 6 plus 6 plus 6th prime number. 6/1 in 2023, when Biden fell as he stepped off the stage, was exactly 61 weeks before the prophetic Hall of Fame football game on August 1st, 2024, that pointed to the football president, which is 4 plus 4 days before the predicted death of Jimmy Carter, who was inaugurated in 77, and this connection from June 1st, 2023 to August 1st, 2024 is 7 plus 7 months exactly. Okay, and so again, the football game, the Hall of Fame game on August 1st is 4 plus 4 days, and the game had a differential score of 4 and on, before the predicted death of Jimmy Carter, because the 44th president will become the 48th president after it is predicted that Joe Biden will step down and step off of the stage. This one paragraph here is so mind-blowing. It's so amazing. I don't think I need to repeat it. Maybe you should watch it again, though. I think you should rewind it a couple of minutes and watch this again. I've said it perfectly. I don't need to say it again, but I want it to really sink in. I think you should watch it 3 times, actually. Egypt. Oh, and Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash in Little Egypt. But it was in Switzerland, and he was meeting the president. By the way, he fell 3 times that day due to his bum knee, which made it a third witness. But he's famous for falling down the steps of his plane, but it was exactly these connections. 48 years. Here's the guy that wore jersey number 48, was beaten in the 48th presidential election. But 48 years is actually 24 times 24 months, and Carter hints at 24 times 24, and 576 hints at the 576 months, hints at the word in the concordance that means to step off. And that's why Biden stepped off the stage and fell exactly 576 months after Ford stepped off and disembarked his plane. And they were both at Air Force. It was the Air Force plane, and Biden stepped off the Air Force stage. Okay, well, let's move on. Hurricane Debbie is equal to 135 in simple English gematria. Likewise, Jimmy Carter is equal to 135 in simple English gematria. God often repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. 135 is 45 plus 45 plus 45. 45 is a number that God uses to hide his second coming. The number 45 hides this through its reciprocal. which is 0.022. And 0.22 hints at 220. Jesus' triumphal entry in his first coming was on the Hebrew calendar date of 110, which hints at 110. Therefore, his second coming is symbolized by the number 220, which hints at, or is hinted at, or hints at 2 times the date 110, or 110, the second coming, because his first coming was on 110. And so 2 times that gives us 220, the second coming. This is why, for example, there were 2 towers of 110 stories that collapsed on 9/11. It hinted at the Lord's second coming. Also, for example, President Trump, the 45th president, has been a trumpet for God, trumpeting prophetic signs of the second coming. The beginning of the judgment destruction, the beginning of the apocalypse, when the coronal mass ejection will hit Earth on September 5th, 2024. Okay, let me rewind here. The predicted death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash on August 15th, 2024 will be the 45th anniversary of the release of the movie Apocalypse Now, which famously cost $45 million to make. $9 million of the $45 million was for promotion, and 45 is the 9th triangular number. August 15th, 2000, in other words, Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash will be symbolic of Apocalypse Now. In other words, the apocalypse beginning now. August 15th, 2024 will be the 79th anniversary of the end of World War II in 45. 79 is the 22nd prime number. August 15th in 45 was the day of victory for the Allies. Its anniversary is celebrated as Victory in the Pacific Day. Obama was, by the way, born in the Pacific. Oh, sorry, he wasn't. He was born in Africa, but he grew up in the Pacific. Hawaii and Indonesia. This is symbolic. Okay, so World War II and the 79 years, which is the 22nd prime number, to August 15th, 2024, and the World War II and 45 on August 15th, which is at 0.22. This is symbolic of the resurrection and rapture and the victory of Christ's saints in his second coming, which won't be on August 15th. It was thought that that would be it, but it will be on September 5th. The 79th, as in 22nd prime number, anniversary of Victory Day in 45, as in 0.22, Carter's predicted death on August 9th, 2024, will be the 79th anniversary of the second of 2 bombs that were dropped on Nagasaki. Nagasaki is known for its hidden Christian UNESCO World Heritage sites and monuments. Pope Francis visited Japan and Nagasaki and the Hidden Christians Monument 666 days after UNESCO declared them to be World Heritage sites, and also exactly 42 months, which is the number of months in the Bible prophecy of the period of the Antichrist, after Obama became the first sitting president to visit Hiroshima. The 2 Antichrists visited these 2 cities regarding nuclear bombs exactly 42 months apart. And 42 months is symbolic of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy. The 39th president is predicted to die on the 79th, as in 22nd prime number, anniversary of the second bomb of 2 bombs. And also August 9th, 2024 will be exactly 3 times 9 weeks, as in the 39th president, after 2 U.S. bombers departed on the date 2/2 to bomb 2 countries in the Middle East on a mission that took 2 times 22 hours in response to the drone attack on the U.S. Tower 22 base in Jordan. The mission took 44 hours, and all of this hints at the second presidency for the 44th president, who will lead a world effort to divide Israel, God's land. This is relevant to Jimmy Carter, who pressured Israel to give land to Egypt in the name of peace. Through all of what has been explained, God will be communicating through the predicted death of Jimmy Carter on August 9th and his predicted funeral on August 13th, that the unelected 8th king, Barack Obama, will be sworn in using the 25th Amendment after a storm. Scratch this. Why will this happen? Because America has rejected Jesus Christ, who was on the cross from the 3rd hour to the 9th hour, which was 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Jimmy Carter, JC, Jesus Christ, was the 39th president, which hints at the 3rd hour to the 9th hour. And he was born in 24 and will die in 24, which again hints at G2424, the word in the concordance for Jesus. This is merely scratching the surface of the reasons for how this prediction is known in advance. For more information, please visit Odyssey, spelled ODYSEE.com, or Rumble.com video channels named Harris Crash Prediction. And also read the website TrumpPrediction.com. Actually, we are not done, though. We've got more coming here, because there is this. For example, the biggest mega tsunami in recorded history occurred in the 7 times 7th state on 7/9, which is at the 22nd prime number and second coming. In 58, which is at the prophecy of the 5th through 8th kings, which is what Carter points to. And Carter was inaugurated in 77. Okay? And this biggest mega tsunami ever recorded in the 7 times 7th state. And Carter, by the way, is also known for his presidency during 1979 and the 444-day hostage crisis, the Iranian hostage crisis. Okay. Now, this mega tsunami, and Carter is Methuselah, okay? This mega tsunami in 58 is exactly 793 months before the predicted of Carter, who is symbolism for Methuselah, as in flood symbolism, as in mega tsunami. 793 because it is the 240th semi-prime number and has been explained many times now. Carter is associated with the number 24. This connection is also exactly 66 years and 1 month. 661 is the 11 times 11th prime number, and the tsunami was triggered by an earthquake that had a maximum Mercalli index of 11. The date 8/9 can be viewed as 4 plus 4, 9. The Antichrist's number is 666. 6 divided by 9 equals 0.666. And the Antichrist is the 44th president. This has the numbers 6 and 9 hint at the 44th president. Therefore, 4 plus 4, 9, this date, can be viewed as 96/9. 969 is the age at which Methuselah died. Carter is symbolic of Methuselah, whose name means when he dies, destruction. Okay, so if you get that. Now, there's 2 ways to see this 8/9 date. This is abstract, okay? But because the 44th president is the Antichrist, And because the numbers 9 and 6 are associated with the Antichrist, because of them hinting at 666, we could theoretically put a 9-6 in front of the 9, which would give us 969, and that's the age of Methuselah. So it's just another way of connecting Methuselah to Carter. Now, Carter equals Methuselah. His predicted death on 8-9 will be 2 times 24 plus 24 hours, which hints at the second coming, G20, which hints at the second coming of Jesus, 24/24. Okay? So 48 hours is 24 plus 24 hours, but it's 2 times 48 hours, so that gives us 2 times 24 plus 24, and that hints at the second coming of G24/24, Jesus. And so this is the equivalent of 4 days, and Carter's death is predicted to be 4 days after the 4th storm named of the season that hit the 4th state and killed 4 people and canceled 4 times 400 flights. From the Bible, the number 9 symbolizes God's judgment. One example in the Bible is Genesis chapter 9 that regards the flood judgment. The number 25 is the 9th semi-prime number. Methuselah's predicted death on 8-9, which hints at 8 divided by 9 equals 0. Which hints at 0.0, as I explained before, 1, 1, 2, 3, which hints at H188, which is the word "whoa!" exclamation mark, will be exactly 2,500 days after Trump cryptically trumpeted to journalists, quote, "Maybe this is the quiet before the storm." Maybe this is the quiet before the storm. That's exactly the death of Carter, the quiet before the storm, because he is Methuselah. Methuselah's predicted death on 8-9 will be the brief quiet before the storm. And if he dies on 8-8, it'll be 7 days, as in a 7 days warning in the flood account before the predicted death of Kamala Harris, which will be definitely a storm. This is amazing too, okay? You got that? 25 is the 9th prime number. The number 9 symbolizes God's judgment. Furthermore, Barack Obama will become the president again through the 25th Amendment. But anyway, the day that Carter is predicted to die will be exactly 2,500 days after Trump trumpeted, "Maybe the quiet before the storm." And it's Genesis chapter 9, by the way, that makes the number 9 symbolize God's judgment. I said this already too in the paragraph. Okay. On August 5th, the 4th named storm of the season hit the 4th state and killed 4 people and canceled 4 times 400 flights. And this was exactly 2,500, which hints at 2,520, the 25th Amendment, the 9th superprime number, days, which is also the equivalent of this and this, which also is, by the way, Antichrist, because 36 symbolizes 6 times 6, and 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. Okay. And this is after October 1st, 2017, the deadliest shooting in American history in the 36th state, which is the confirmation for this connection right here of 3,600,000 minutes, in which there were 58 deaths. Okay, so if Carter is symbolic of this 5th through 8th king's prophecy, the deadliest mass shooting in history that killed 58 people, you would think would connect, and it does. Exactly 2,500 days. The date 8-5 hints at the 58 deaths, and vice versa, because outside the US, the date 8-5 is written as 5-8. The 58 deaths and the date 8-5, written outside as 5-8 of the US, hints at the 5th through 8th king's prophecy. Obama is the 8th king. The shooter shot from a high place, which is what the word Obama in Hebrew means. And he shot from the 32nd floor. Obama is equal to 32 in simple English gematria. 32 is also 4 times 8, and Obama is predicted to become the 48th president. Also, 32 is 8 times 4, and Obama was born on the date 8-4 and In Hebrew gematria, Obama equals 84. Okay. So that's why the shooter shot from the 32nd floor, a high place. It hints at Obama. On the same day of the deadliest mass shooting, murder from the 32nd floor, and the shooter shot at the Route 91 Music Festival, on that same day was the release from prison in the same city, in Sin City, Las Vegas, of player number 32, O.J. Simpson, who had his wife murdered in a bloody stabbing before driving his white Bronco truck down Route 91, as in the Route 91 Music Festival on the day that he was released from prison. O.J. Simpson drove the truck down Route 91, and that's the big thing about O.J. Simpson, right? The car chase. It was up I-5, Route 91, and then after Route 91, I-405, if I recall. Or maybe it was 405, and then Route 91, and then I-5. Okay, anyway. Mass shootings, as I said earlier, are symbolic of mass murder from the things. And the 32nd prime number is 131, which is the reason for all of this 32nd floor and the number 32 release on the same day. Because the 32nd prime number is 131, which hints at G131, which is the word in Strong's Greek Concordance that means blood disease, which is what someone gets after they take the thing, which is what mass shootings symbolize. And it hints at H1301, the Hebrew word for Bama, which means high place. Player number 32, O.J. Simpson, played for the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49th vice president was the city attorney general for San Francisco. Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane that will fall from a high place. Again, the shooter shot from the high place. Bama means high place. The shooter from the 32nd floor, 32nd prime number, 131. Bama, high place, H1301. Okay, this is amazing. This is so amazing. August 16th, 1977 is 9 times 9 times 9 days, 729, before the release of the movie Apocalypse Now on August 15th, 1979. This is also 3 times the 9th squared number, okay? So 729 is the 27th squared number. The 3 times 9th squared number. Okay, August 16th, 1977. Okay, August 16th, 1977 is 9 times, well, that was the day that Elvis Presley died. Okay, and also was the day that an astronomer recorded the very unusual patterned signal that he labeled the wow in his notes, which became famously known as the wow signal. And for many years, just up until recently, astronomers couldn't figure out what it was, and it had been speculated among many people that it could be possibly a product of aliens. Okay? Okay. Now, and Elvis Presley is known for the conspiracy theory that he didn't die, he disappeared. And it's speculated, believed by myself, that when the aliens or demons pretending to be aliens come, they will give an explanation for the disappeared Christians in the rapture. It will be a lie, a conspiracy theory. Now, okay, so August 16th, 1977 is 9 times 90 days to November 4th, 1979, the beginning of the 444-day hostage crisis, also known as the Iranian hostage crisis. Now, this is at 990, by the way, and which is the 44th triangular number. And the date 11/4 hits at 11 times 4 equals 44, the beginning of the 444-day hostage crisis. Jimmy Carter's wife, Rosalind Carter, is equal to, in Hebrew gematria, 990. And they're both from the fourth state. 990 is the 44th prime number. Okay. Now, August 15th, 1979, the release of the movie Apocalypse Now is 9 times 9 days to November 4th, 1979. So, in other words, from the Apocalypse Now release, we've got a 9 times 9 days connection to the 444-day hostage crisis, and from Elvis's death, we have a 44th triangular number connection, but it's also 9 times 90 days to the 444-day hostage crisis. Okay, and the hostage crisis is, or the 444-day hostage crisis, which began on the date 11/4, which is 11 times 4 equals 44, was 44 years exactly to the date 11/4 in 2023, when protesters stormed the iron gates at the White House compound, which is exactly what they did in 1979, 44 years exactly earlier. The student protesters in Iran stormed the iron gates of the U.S. Embassy compound. Okay, and this was in the news when the students protested on 11/4/2023 and did the vandalism at the Iron Gate of the White House, okay? Now, 11/4/2023 is 279, which is an anagram for 729 days, which is also 76% of a year, and Carter was elected in 76. And since at the 776 semi-prime number, H226 is the word for prophetic sign in the concordance. And it's also 40 weeks inclusive to, anyway, the day that Carter will die. So in other words, what I'm doing here is I'm connecting the big event in Carter's presidency, the Iranian hostage crisis, to the date he's predicted to die. I think 44 years from the 444th day hostage crisis and then 40 weeks is sufficient confirmation. But I also included Elvis in this. But it's 44 years from the 444-day hostage crisis and then 40 weeks exactly to the date that Carter is predicted to die. That's amazing. Now, and it connects through the prophetic sign at the White House. And Carter's death is leading to the Antichrist in the White House. Well, Kamala Harris's death is leading to that. Carter's death will precede Kamala Harris's death. 2 times 3 days, because the Antichrist wore jersey 23. And 2 divided by 3 equals 0.666. Why does Elvis connect, and also the mark of the Antichrist changes a person's chromosomes, and a person has 23 chromosomes? Why does Elvis connect with Carter? Carter equals 5th through 8th kings, and Elvis is the king of rock and roll. Elvis died in 77, and Carter was inaugurated in 77, which began a parallel with the prophecy about 7 kings. Also, Elvis died on the day of the wow signal, and Carter is the UFO president. Yes, Carter officially submitted a report to the International UFO Bureau, etc. He is the UFO president. And the Elvis is alive conspiracy theory and Elvis impersonators point to the disappearance of Christians in the rapture and also Christians in their resurrected bodies on a mission on earth after the rapture, because that's also the conspiracy theory about Elvis, is that he's still on earth on a mission. Okay, Carter and the demons will be giving an alternate explanation for all of this. The demons pretending to be aliens, which is why the wow signal and the UFO president. Carter equals Methuselah and the flood. God gave Noah a 7-day warning before the flood. The UFO president's death will be 7 days warning before the beginning of the deception of demons pretending to be aliens and their lie explanation for the disappearance of Christians. Actually, it is now believed that August 16th, 7 days after Carter's death, will be a step in the trail of signs that is leading to this. I don't know what will happen, but I'm pretty confident that a prophetic sign, or signs plural, will occur on this date that will confirm this analysis. The predicted date of the beginning of the deception of demons pretending to be aliens, which again will be on September 6th. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video. And once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more. Don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the BitChute.com or the Odyssey.com channel. And do it now in case you aren't able to later.